So today's video is just going to be us kind of talking about and showing you what's going on with the house that we are remodeling, that we're planning on moving into as soon as possible. So Gabe just started working on our house again, as you can see here behind me. I just wanted to give a little bit of background on the buildings before we go in and I show you everything that we're doing right now. These buildings were originally farm buildings, not houses. They were retrofitted to be houses in the late 70s, and we're discovering that they were retrofitted very poorly. Some very questionable decisions were made in the process. So since it was originally a barn, there was no foundation, there was no concrete slab. It was just, a wooden box with dirt. So when they decided to make it a domicile, they had to pour the slab inside of the wooden walls, the barn walls. So because of that decision, the original barn walls were being exposed to the earth and moisture, causing them to start rotting from the bottom over time. And in addition to that, previous residents of this building also added more dirt, so they were basically further submerging the walls below grade and burying it more. What Gabe has been working on the past couple of days since discovering the situation is basically digging out the building. So going around the entire edge and digging it out so that it's not below grade anymore. So on this wall, you can see that he's just gotten the ditch dug out. And there you can see the concrete slab.
So I'm trying to get it cleaned down to the original slab. And then this slab here, it seems like this was added after the whole structure was sort of dried in. And what they did was they made a collar of insulation all the way around, filled that like up to here with sand, and there's AC and heating ductwork in the sand, and then there's a new concrete slab on top of that, and that would have been done like in the late 70s with this slab added when the AC was added.
Mm-hmm.
And then this patio that we're sitting on, I have no idea when it was added. I don't know. But it was obviously added at a different time because it's on its own elevation from the original slab, this interior slab, and then this patio slab. So what I'm going to do is, I need to clean these boards up some more, but we're gonna build a frame.
This is what was rotting?
This was what was rotting, and the original sill plate or bottom plate for the wall was sitting on this slab,
and
on the original like barn slab. And so what happened is, just over the years, especially on this one, like water hit this patio and then drained in and went straight down into this canal basically. So this sill plate is completely gone. It doesn't exist anymore, and it's starting to rot up the posts. So basically this whole wall is floating. It's a pretty short section and it's non-load bearing, so that's whatever. But I'm going to build a wooden box, like a frame, up to hereabouts, and then the same in here to sort of build the stem wall. It's going to be concrete. I'm going to fill it in with concrete, but to build the stem wall that should have always have been here.
mm-hmm.
And that exists on 2 of the 4 walls of this house, but doesn't exist on this wall and this southern wall over here. So yeah, we're going to build a box. These will be cut up higher, concrete, and then we'll put in a new like bottom plate, and then this wall will sit on that plate, and it will be hopefully a more proper wall, and it will stay drier. So it'll be like concrete probably up to here, hereabouts. We'll put some more. We'll put the vinyl. Well, we'll put some weather stripping and some vinyl back on it to sort of overlap, but it'll be drier than it was. It won't be. I don't think it'll be perfect, but it'll be drier than it was. Well, right now I'm just trying to dig it out. There's what I think is an original slab here, right?
What do you mean an original slab?
Like when this was still a farm building, I think this was the original slab.
So there was a slab?
I think so. I mean, because if you look at it, like the aggregate is also a lot different than this slab up here. There's like a lot more like little tiny river pebbles in here. This is the original like beadboard barn siding that would have been here when this was a pig barn. And this is actually something that's kind of special about this farm, is from what I understand, this was the only farm in like the whole area that the farm buildings were painted yellow. Most places around here were either red or white. So they were strange because they painted their stuff yellow. And then there's another layer of siding. This is vertical siding. It also was painted yellow originally, and then someone painted it white. So this might have, I have no guess as to when this siding was put on. But then I think that this siding, this vinyl, would have gone on to this house when it was remodeled again in the late 70s by the guy who owned this place before my grandfather bought it. So yeah, there's 3 layers of siding. It's pretty similar to inside, where there was several layers of different wall or drywall systems in place. So yeah, this house has a lot of stories, a lot of very interesting decisions made over the years. Most of them bad decisions.
So you're gonna fill this entire gap with concrete?
Right now, that's the plan.
That's a lot of concrete.
Yeah, I don't have I can't think of a better alternative that I would trust to hold our house up.
Yeah.
So just to show, this is what we were talking about. This is the north wall of the house, and that's the west wall of the house. I'm standing in our future bedroom. Anyway, these 2 walls inexplicably have the concrete stem wall that you would want your house to be built up on to prevent rot. So unsurprisingly, I mean, there's a little spot in the corner of the bathroom that needs some work, but this half of the house has not had really any water damage like we have had on the other 2 walls. So the east wall and the south wall are completely rat fucked because not only is the stem wall non-existent, but the original foundation from when this was a pig barn is now really below grade in a lot of places, and the best is it's at grade. So you really want your bottom plate of your wall to be above grade, like at least 6 or 8 inches, I think is the code. So we are like, it's just not how you build a house, not how you keep a house. We're below grade or at grade everywhere on this east wall and this south wall, which is why we have so much damage, and we have to absolutely fix it. 1, because our house is going to fall down, but 2, we can't insulate the walls with the straw and have this kind of moisture wicking up into the walls, because the straw, the straw probably wouldn't even last a year if we, let that kind of moisture access an organic material that we're going to use for insulation. So, yeah, total stop. I mean, we already had to wait till next spring to do the straw anyway, but everything has to wait until we get the feet of this house dry again.
Gabe wants to get all of that structural work completed before winter. Well, he pretty much doesn't have a choice but to get it completed before winter because we can't be having like snow drifts coming in through those gaps. Everything going on with the footing of the structure is pretty much the only structural issue that we have to deal with, thankfully. I'm honestly really surprised that there aren't any like cracks in the foundation or anything. The plan for insulating the interior is to do light straw clay, I believe is what it's called. So we can't insulate the house until winter's over because the light straw clay insulation has to cure for, it's a week per inch, and we're doing it 12 inches thick. So it's going to have to cure for 12 weeks. And during that 12 weeks, we can't have freezing weather because the insulation can't be freezing before it's set. It'll mess it up. So another interesting thing about our future home is that we are not going to have electricity. And that wasn't a deliberate choice. We weren't going into this being like, we're going to do everything off grid. We want to be off grid. We would have been more than happy to be plugged into the grid. But it has turned out that that's just not going to be feasible, which is fine because Gabe has always been very interested in off-grid living and has been learning about that kind of lifestyle alongside all of the gardening and farming stuff that he's been learning about the past like 10 years. So it's a challenge that we're ready for, but it wasn't a challenge that we were seeking necessarily. So he's going to do what he can to prepare for that stage this winter, which is why he's doing this work right now as we enter into fall. So throughout the fall and winter, he's going to be working on reframing the interior walls to prepare them to take the 12 inches of light straw clay insulation. And he said he's going to do like some pre-plumbing. I don't know what that means, but I guess basically just figuring out what the layout's going to be for everything that's going to take gas and water. So the way that he's planning and designing the house now is based off the fact that we're not going to have electricity. We will have gas. We're going to have to get a tank dropped out here. And we'll have running water. We'll be connected to the well, and the well pump will be electrified because it's connected to the main house, which is on the grid and is going to stay on the grid. So we'll have running water from the well, and we'll have propane. So yeah, we're kind of thinking that we'll be able to make everything work, just given that we'll have the propane tank and running water, and we're actually not even planning on trying to go big with solar or anything in the immediate future. It's definitely something that we are open to, but we just kind of want to experiment, because why not, and see how things go just being completely electricity free. But down the line, yeah, we probably will end up investing in like a full-blown solar setup. Our goal is to be ready to move into the house by next winter, so a little more than a year from now. That's all the talking that we are going to inflict on you about home renovation. We think it's interesting. It's a pretty cool building. I didn't even get to show you all the interior wall that is an original exterior barn wall. Anyways, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to everything that we're doing out here. So definitely subscribe and follow along with our journey towards building our future and beautifying, improving, and growing this beautiful property that's in Gabe's family, that we want to keep in his family and keep beautiful and functioning.